Hello, my name is India. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. Let's talk about the books that I would like to read this year. Most of these were selected with help from my friends on Instagram, in a either or fashion for different themes or genres or whatnot. There are also a bunch of rereads on this list, something that I don't do very often, and I don't think I have done since I was a child, is reread something unless it has been for school. And I'd like to change that. I would like to reread the books that I love, or books that I have forgotten but have a feeling that I missed something when I first read them, or that I would appreciate more now than when I read. So yeah, first book we're gonna talk about is a reread. It's one of my favorite books, and that's The Grace Keepers by Kirsty Logan. This is about two girls who live in this future-ish world that is mostly covered by ocean. And so one of the girls, North, is a bear trainer on a circus ship, and the other girl, Callanish, is a grace keeper and lives a very secluded life on a island where she gets visitors from time to time. Two feminist theory books that I really want to read, and which I've read sections of for classes, are Borderlands or La Frontera, The New Mestiza by Gloria Anzaldúa. This is key feminist theory literature, and I've read, again, different chapters for different classes, but I would like to sit down and really dedicate time to reading this. The other book I want to read is Black Feminism Reimagined After Intersectionality by Jennifer C. Nash. Again, I've read a couple chapters from this. It does a really great job of looking at Black feminism as something that evolves, as all social thought does. So yes. I then want to read the collected poems of Audre Lorde. I love Audre Lorde. I should reread Sister Outsider. It's one of my favorite books, and just deserves a reread. But Audre Lorde is so masterful, and I want to read her poetry, especially because one of the essays in Sister Outsider is titled Poetry is Not a Luxury, and kind of is about the importance of art making and creativity and creative expressions of voice and experience and personhood, how essential they are to women, specifically Black women, and so I would just like to read her poetry. We then have Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeline Thien. I think this is about a young Chinese woman in Canada who befriends another Chinese woman in Canada, and this other woman is telling stories about the Cultural Revolution and different events happening in China. I love reading historical fiction as a way to start learning more about topics I don't understand. Modern Chinese history is one that I don't think I'm very well versed in, and would definitely like to learn more about. I would like to read What Would Boudica Do by E. Foley and B. Coates. This is I don't know why I want to say popular feminism nonfiction, but I think that this is super accessible and kind of details how feminist figures in the past, or woman figures in the past, would approach current day problems. Next, another reread, Pride and Prejudice. I, up until this year, thought I wasn't a Jane Austen fan. And then this year I finished reading all of her novels. You might be wondering, okay, why would someone who's not a Jane Austen fan read all of her novels? Which is a great question. But I realized that each book of hers that I would read, like, I liked more than the one before. And I think I just started with Austen a little bit too early. Like, I think I am now at a place where I can fully appreciate her and appreciate her writing. So I want to go back to Pride and Prejudice, which I don't remember if this was the first I read. I think I might have read Sense and Sensibility first, or before this. But who knows? Maybe I'll finally understand why people like Mr. Darcy. Maybe I won't, but that doesn't determine whether I'll like the book or not. Another book I want to reread is Perfume by Patrick Suskind, The Story of a Murderer. This is about a boy born in 18th century Paris with augmented sense of smell. And he becomes a perfumer, learns how to make perfumes, and goes on I want to say quest, but quest is a little bit too positive of a word. Goes on a quest to make the perfect perfume, and murder is involved. I read this in high school and thought it was brilliant, and I want to read it again, and I hope I still think it's brilliant. Then I want to read the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, even though, yes, I know it's originally just like one book. Mine are split into 3. This is kind of arbitrary. I don't know if I'm gonna like these. I might like them. I might not like them. I'm pretty ambivalent as to whether or not I end up liking them. I want to read The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. This is about a woman in New York in the turn of the century. Yeah, like the 20s? Maybe? I don't know what this is about, but I have read Edith Wharton's shorter fiction, and a like extended family member commented on one of my later polls that I'm going to talk about, or books that I'm going to talk about, in which I was comparing 2 short books, and Ethan Frome was on there, and she was like, hey, I love Edith Wharton, don't read Ethan Frome, read The Age of Innocence. And I was like, okay, I trust your opinion, so I'm going to do what you tell me. Oh, I realized these are all the classics now, except for Pride and Prejudice. I don't know why that was in this stack, but we are now moving on to the classics. We have Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. This is about a woman who reads too much, I think. I don't know if it's, like, sometimes I hear that it's like she's reading to escape, or to find some, like, heroism in heroism? We're gonna go with heroism. In her life, Don Quixote-esque. Next, we have In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. This is a piece of true crime. And it's a classic. It's like a modern classic. So we'll see how I feel about that. I don't read, watch, listen to, consume true crime stuff. I'm kind of a scaredy cat. Like, I don't even really watch or read thrillery, scary things. So, I don't know. I'm not expecting that to be scary in any way, but it is outside of my typical genres. Next, I would like to read Passing by Nella Larson. This is about a Black woman who passes as white, I believe. And, ooh, I just looked down and read Homoerotic Longing. So, that should be fun. I want to read this because I've heard it talked about a lot, and I've heard that it's really great. I also want to read this because there are 2 books that are slightly based on it, or have similar, like, themes. Gingerbread by Helen Oyemi and The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and I would like to read this. I then want to read The Scarlet Letter because I haven't read it, and a lot of people have had to read it in high school, and I just, again, it's one of those things I would like to read. Yeah. I just realized I have a plant over here that I didn't water yesterday, so I need to do that. Here, let's look. This mug was tragically broken, and so I have repurposed it into a planter. Pardon the aside. Next, we have The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. This is about the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression, an American classic. I don't know what else to say about that. Lastly on this list is The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. Classic sci-fi. I think it's so fun to read classic sci-fi, even though I'm such a science fiction, like, I don't read that much science fiction. But I've read The Time Machine, and there was one other that I read. I think it's so fun. So, who knows how I'll feel about The Invisible Man. It's about a man who finds a way to make himself invisible. But hey, thank you for watching this video that I think is probably going to be very long. Let me know if you have any reading goals or any books you're trying to get to in the year 2021. Thanks for joining me for this video. I'll see you again soon.